This video is sponsored by MPB.
Well, I have just arrived at London Heathrow ahead of 4 days of travel, which has the potential to be a little bit boring. So what I thought I'd do is film a video rather than just sit for 4 days. We're flying over the Andes at the moment, which is very cool, and I had hoped to do some photography this morning, but it's cloudy, which I didn't foresee. Then there's also lots of ice on the window, which is annoying. But apart from that, fantastic flight so far. I've slept a lot and watched the Barbie movie. So long story short, we are on our way to Antarctica, and I say we, myself, Nigel and Mass, because we're running another workshop in Antarctica with a fantastic group of photographers, but this time we've got the entire ship that we had in Svalbard and Greenland last summer, which is bonkers. And I was thinking the other day about how mad it is that I get to do things like this, all in the name of photography, and that got me to thinking about all the stuff that I wish I'd known about photography when I started. So that's basically what this video is, just a list of things I wish I'd known. Thank you. Oh, I tell you what, if there's something better than taking off in the middle of winter and landing somewhere in the middle of summer, I'm yet to find it. But I'm conscious that this video has probably been going on a couple of minutes now, and I've still not talked about anything photography specific, so let's do that. Although this scene looks kind of nice for my kind of photography. First thing I wish I'd known about photography when I started is that there is no such thing as a good photo, because one person might look at a photo and think it's the best thing they've ever seen, and another person might look at it and think, that doesn't do anything for me. And they're both right, because it's art ultimately, and everybody has their own tastes, which means that it's very difficult to rely on the opinion of others to work out whether your photos are any good or not. The only barometer, the only true barometer you have of whether or not your photos are good is what you think of them, and that's all that matters. And basically I spent many years worrying what other people thought of my work, when really all I needed to care about was what I thought of it. And I've enjoyed photography an awful lot more since I had that realisation. So yeah, first things first. It turns out that out there actually isn't that good for photography, I don't think. I think after 15 hours on a plane though, I was just a little bit excited about the prospect of, I don't know, some hard shadows, some signage, but no. Anyway, thing number two that I wish I'd known about photography when I started is that as much as good photos don't exist, perfect photos don't seem to exist either. And I really thought that by this stage of my career, I would have taken some photos that live in my portfolio that I would have deemed perfect, you know, where there's nothing I would change about the lighting, the composition, the subject. But I don't have any photos like that where there's nothing I would change about them. And I think I find that liberating, because I'm not always having to chase this super lofty goal of perfection, but at the same time I find it motivating that there is always this room to improve. So yeah, I guess I wish I'd known that sooner as well. Mass is in a bad place. You doing all right? You doing all right? Oh dear. Food poisoning, I think. Not good to have food poisoning when you're going through an airport. It's 4 a.m. Too early. Books, I think, are the best photography investment you can make, because they're both educational and inspirational. And there aren't too many things like that, I don't think. So yeah, I wish I'd started buying photography books sooner. And I also wish I'd recorded this bit with my photography books at home, not 8,000 miles away. Because yeah, I didn't bring any photography books here in my suitcase. I've lost a cable. Anyway, second best photography investment I think you can make, aside from books, is bags. And a bag that you will take stuff in and out of is worth its weight in gold, because I've had too many camera bags that are very good at protecting gear, but very awkward for getting gear in and out, and therefore I don't get the gear in and out, and therefore it's pointless carrying the gear. So having something that you're willing to actually use in a bag is crucial. This is a Bellroy 10 litre. I've been using it a while. No affiliation, it's not sponsored, but I really like it. Apart from this little lip at the front, which seems to just collect snow and rain, and that's not an ideal design. But apart from that, I really like it. You might like other stuff, but having something you like is important. This scene, I think, is one of my favourite places in the world to shoot. It's such a clean, minimal scene, but it's got everything. It's got an incredible hut packed with history, fantastic wildlife, an amazing backdrop that's kind of shrouded in this atmosphere this morning. It's just amazing. And in many ways, I think that is incredibly dangerous, because I've been here for, I don't know, 10-15 minutes so far, and I've not stopped to consider how incredible this place is, because I've just had my camera to my eye the entire time. And I think that's the danger as a photographer. You miss moments with your eyes because you're just concentrating on capturing them with your camera. And so I'm having a minute now where I'm just focusing on appreciating where I am and what's in front of me. Then I've got better at that over the past couple of years, but I wish I'd known to do it sooner, because I've visited a lot of places that, I don't know, I've not managed to take in properly. So that's what I'm trying to do now. It is tempting just to keep shooting though. Thing number, I can't remember, that I wish I'd known when I started was the importance of looking up. Keeping your head up rather than keeping your head in your camera bag thinking, oh, what lens should I be using? Because there are no photo opportunities in your camera bag. All the photo opportunities lie out around you, and in my experience there is a direct correlation between the amount of time you spend looking up and about and the number of good photos you take. So yeah, keeping your eyes peeled on what's in front of you, not what you're carrying with you. It's a penguin colony over there. Let's go and have a look at that. This place is absolutely ridiculous. Borgen Bay it's called, and I've never been here before, and it sounds like hardly anyone on the ship has, including the staff, so this'll be special. Anyway, next thing I wish I'd known is the importance of testing assumptions. When I first came to Antarctica, I assumed that I'd be shooting everything with a long lens, and I did shoot a lot of stuff with a long lens last time, but I haven't really enjoyed looking back at the photos that I shot at 300-400mm anywhere near as much as the photos that I was shooting at much more normal focal lengths. And as a consequence, this time I haven't brought many telephoto lenses with me. I've been shooting pretty much everything either on my 24-70 or a 50 or a 40, occasionally my 90, and I only know that that's what I want to do because I tested the assumption that turned out to be wrong, that I would want to photograph everything at longer focal lengths. So often I find, and it's not always to do with lenses, sometimes it's about locations, sometimes it's about kinds of light, but often I have a thought about what I'm going to want to do, and it turns out that my preference is actually somewhat different when I test it. So always worth doing. And sorry, I'm forcing you to look at me, but the background is, in fact, I'll just get out of the way. Next thing, art versus science. And since arriving and starting this workshop, I've been reminded
of the importance of art versus science. And I've talked about this a little bit before on the channel, but basically photography is a mix of art and science. But typically when we're teaching photography, more often than not, we talk a lot about the science, the apertures, the shutter speeds, the ISOs, and not that much about the artistry that goes into photography, because it's much more difficult to talk about that stuff because there's no black and white rules when it comes to the art. But that's where the most interesting stuff is. The personal preferences, the new ways of doing things, the different styles, all of that is artistry. And that is where the best teaching about photography happens, and the best learning about photography happens too. So as important as it might be to know how apertures work, then how to exposure bracket, all of that stuff, it's more important to have an understanding of what you want to say as a photographer. I don't know if that will make sense.
Well, we made it to Patagonia. So yes, welcome everybody to Patagonia. This video is taking an absolute age to complete, but basically a few of us have come to Patagonia because, I mean, it's right next to Antarctica basically in terms of part of the world, so it made sense to come and take a look, and it's very, very nice. Anyway, the next thing I wish I'd known as a photographer when I started out is that it's just the best way to see the world, because I think you notice so much more about the world. For instance, I've just spent about 15 minutes checking out this sign, as you might see in a future video, and well, I wouldn't have done that if I wasn't a photographer. So yeah, I mean, that's partly because of my style. I like man-made things. Not everybody I'm with would do that, but yeah, I think you notice much more when you've got a camera in hand than when you don't. Although, like I said the other day, it's got to be tempered by the fact that you don't want to be looking at the world only through the eyes of your camera, because then that can take away from your experience. But I think overall we come out on top as photographers in terms of how much we appreciate and experience. Yeah. These roads are very dusty. I can taste it. You can probably tell that it's a completely different time on a completely different day, and it's also very windy, so I've got no idea if you can hear me. But the final thing I wish I'd known when I started out in photography was that using one lens at a time, preferably a prime in my case, is so much more enjoyable. For me, this is not for everybody, but for me, I find it so much more fun, so much more engaging, and I've spoken about this a lot, but I love it. And it's transformed the way that I take photos, going out with one lens, again, preferably a prime, a 40 or a 50, something like that, because I end up looking at scenes for much longer, and in my opinion, I end up with better photos. This may not be the case for you, but it's worth experimenting with, and I wish I had been experimenting with it sooner. So that rounds up all the things I wish I'd known when I started. Can't believe this video has taken me over 2 weeks to make. Nonsense, my beard is probably much longer.
Well, I'm back at the airport in Santiago. Thought I'd have this video wrapped up in a couple of days, but no, it's been a busy trip. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. This is not the only video I'll show from this trip. I'll have plenty more to come. It's been fantastic. But for the meantime, thank you, and hopefully this has been useful. And if I think of any other stuff I wish I'd known when I started photography, I'll do another video like this. Hopefully not spread over 3 weeks. Also, a big thank you to the sponsor of this week's video, MPB, who I think are the best place to buy and sell used camera gear online. I reckon 50% of my bag, my camera bag, is made up of stuff that I've bought from MPB. And the reason for that is that experts check it all. You can save hundreds, if not thousands of pounds, and everything comes with a 6-month guarantee. Guarantee or warranty? One of the two. And also, when you're selling gear, MPB takes away all the hassle. You don't have to think about insurance, couriers, questions, disputes, haggling, any of that stuff. MPB takes care of it all. So I think MPB is the best place to sell gear online as well. So if you're looking to grow or shrink your camera gear collection, definitely check out MPB. Links in the description. They operate in lots of different territories, and I couldn't recommend them enough. So a big thank you to them for their continued support, and thank you to you for watching. But yeah, great trip, and I'm looking forward to showing you some more of it. I'll see you next week.